Welcome, dear dreamer. As you settle beneath your blanket, allow your body to soften with every breath. Inhale deeply through your nose and exhale slowly through your lips. Feel the calm rise within you, like a gentle tide washing over the shore of your mind. The world outside can rest for a while. This is your time to drift, to dream, and to wander softly into a story woven from peace and starlight. Tonight, I'll take you to a place far from cities and noise, to a monastery high upon a mountain where clouds brush against the rooftops, and the sound of rain is as soft as a lullaby. This is the story of Saint Aurelia Monastery and of the tiny keepers who have lived there for centuries. Unseen yet essential, a family of mountain mice who guard the silence, one raindrop at a time. The mountain and the bells. The monastery of Saint Aurelia stood at the very edge of a cliff, its walls the color of old bone streaked with moss and time. From the valley below, travelers could hear its bells ringing every evening, deep, slow tones that rolled through the mist like breathing. Around the stone courtyards, wild thyme grew in the cracks, and doves nested under the arches. The monks who lived there were few now, just 7 quiet men who tended the gardens, copied old books, and cared for the ancient bells that had called to prayer since the 15th century. But when dusk came and the final prayer was sung, and the candles were snuffed out one by one, a different community stirred. From within the walls, behind the carved wood of the choir stalls, and beneath the flagstones of the library, small rustlings began. Tiny voices, gentle as rain, whispered awake. Among them was Milo, the youngest of the mountain mice. He was no larger than a walnut, with fur the color of morning dust and eyes bright as candlelight. Milo's family had lived in the monastery longer than any monk alive, generation after generation, quiet helpers of the night. The secret work of the night. Each night, when the great bronze bell finished its final echo, Milo and his family would emerge from their hiding places. They scurried across the cloisters, their paws making the faintest taps on the stone. The monks had never driven them away. In fact, they were quietly grateful. You see, while the monks copied manuscripts and preserved the wisdom of centuries, it was the mice who kept the monastery truly safe, nibbling away the beetles that would chew the parchment, catching the moth larvae before they found the prayer books. Their work was delicate, humble, and constant. To them, the scent of old vellum, wax, and lavender oil was the smell of home. Milo loved his work, though sometimes his mind wandered. While his parents and older siblings went about their nightly tasks, he would sneak up the narrow staircases that spiraled toward the bell tower, where the air smelled of rain and iron. There, he would listen. Even when no bell was ringing, the tower hung softly with echoes of past centuries, a music that only the tiniest ears could hear. The bellkeeper. One night, as thunder rolled far beyond the valley, Milo climbed to the highest ledge of the bell tower. The great bell, called Aurelia Major, loomed above him like a sleeping giant. Its surface was darkened by age, and inscriptions in Latin wound around it in flowing letters. Milo felt very small beneath it. He gazed through the open arches of the tower, where sheets of rain veiled the world below. The forest looked like a sea of breathing mist. The village lights were faint glimmers far away. He whispered to himself, "How far does the world go?" A voice answered, not loud, but deep and kind. "As far as the sound of the bell can reach." Startled, Milo turned. Perched upon the rim of the bell was an owl, enormous and pale, with eyes like amber glass. "Don't be afraid," said the owl. "I am Orion, keeper of this tower when the monks are asleep. And you, little one, are one of the whispering mice, are you not?" Milo nodded, trembling. "Yes, sir. We keep the book safe." The owl blinked slowly. "Ah, I keep the silence safe. We are not so different." From that night, a quiet friendship began between the two. Rain and reflection. The rains that autumn were long and steady. The monks prayed under dripping eaves, their chants echoing in the empty halls. The wind smelled of pine and wet stone. Milo and his family worked through the nights, eating what insects they found, cleaning tiny spaces the monks could never reach. Yet Milo's thoughts always drifted to the bell tower. He would climb there whenever he could, and Orion would be waiting, watching the horizon. "Why do you stay here every night?" Milo asked one evening. "Because someone must watch the storms," said the owl. "They carry the memories of the mountains. Every time the thunder rolls, it awakens what once was." "What once was?" The owl's feathers ruffled softly. "Before the monastery, before men carved their prayers into stone, there was only the wind and the creatures who listened. The mountain remembers all of it. And now we listen together, you, I, and the rain." Milo tilted his tiny head, trying to imagine such a time. The thought made his heart flutter, half in awe, half in longing. The lost manuscript. One night, something unusual happened. The youngest monk, Brother Laurent, stayed late in the library, searching for a lost manuscript, an illuminated book said to contain a forgotten hymn. When he finally left, he left a candle burning too near to the parchment stack. Milo smelled the smoke before anyone else. He darted across the floor, his heart racing. His tiny paws pattered like raindrops as he squeaked alarm to his family. Together, they scurried toward the candle flame, dragging thin strips of parchment and crumbs of wax to smother it. The smoke curled, but the flame died before it could spread. In the flickering light, the mice looked upon the saved manuscripts, gold letters glinting faintly. Above them, Orion landed silently at the window, wings dripping with rain. "You've done well," he said, voice low. "The mountain will remember this night." Milo looked up at the owl, breathing fast but proud. "We only did what we always do." "And that," Orion said gently, "is how the world remains whole, when small hearts keep doing what they always do." The secret garden. As weeks passed, the storm softened into mist. The monks worked in their herb gardens again, trimming rosemary and sage. The air filled with the hum of bees. In the evenings, Milo and his family would explore the gardens, nibbling fallen seeds and resting beneath the ivy. The monastery cat, old, slow, and too tired to chase, would watch them lazily with half-closed eyes. Milo often paused to listen to the bells echo across the valley. The deep tone felt like a heartbeat of the mountain itself. He realized he no longer felt small beneath it, only part of something vast and calm. One dusk, as the mist turned golden, Orion descended silently beside him. "The monks are saying," the owl murmured, "that a new bell will be cast soon, one smaller, lighter. They say the old one has grown weary." Milo frowned. "Can a bell be weary?" "Everything that has sung long enough becomes weary," said Orion. "But don't be sad. Even silence is a song." They sat together until the first stars appeared. Winter at the monastery. Snow arrived quietly one evening. The wind drifted through the cloisters, piling soft white blankets on every ledge and step. The monks walked in silence, their breath like smoke. Inside, the mice huddled close near the kitchens, where warmth lingered from the ovens. Milo watched flakes melt on the window glass. He thought about the bell, about Orion, and about how the seasons came and went without changing the heart of this mountain home. Sometimes he wondered if he would ever see the world beyond the valley, but then he would hear the faint sound of the bell through the snow, and his longing softened into peace. That night, Orion appeared at the window again, his feathers dusted with frost. "The stars are bright tonight," he said. "Would you like to see them?" Milo climbed onto the owl's back, and together they rose into the night sky. The air was sharp and clean, filled with moonlight. Below them, the monastery glowed faintly, candles flickering through stained glass. From above, the world looked endless. The rivers were ribbons of silver, and the forest spread like ink across parchment. Milo felt the beat of Orion's wings beneath him and whispered, "It's so big." "Yes," said Orion, "and every small life within it matters. Spring bells." When spring returned, the new bell arrived. It gleamed bronze and gold, smaller than Aurelia Major, but tuned to the same low note. The monks named it Clara, after the dawn. On the day of its first ringing, the valley was filled with sunlight and birdsong. Milo watched from a crack in the tower wall as Brother Laurent and the others pulled the ropes. The sound bloomed through the air, pure, shimmering, alive. For a moment, Milo thought he could hear two voices, the old bell and the new one, singing together, one fading, one beginning. Beside him, Orion blinked slowly. "So it continues," the owl said. "The night of stillness." One night, months later, there was no wind, no rain, not even the cry of an owl. The world was utterly still. Milo crept through the library, past rows of old books sleeping under their dust covers. The silence was deep enough to hear his own heartbeat. He realized then that this was the same silence the mountain had always kept, before bells, before words. It was not emptiness, but fullness, waiting quietly to be heard. He looked up at the vaulted ceiling and whispered, "Thank you." And though there was no reply, he felt something warm move through the air, as if the stones themselves had heard. The whispering legacy. Years passed. Milo grew older, slower. The monks came and went. The seasons painted the valley again and again. But the mice of Saint Aurelia remained, their soft whispers echoing through the monastery each night. And whenever rain fell, the sound on the roof was joined by the faintest patter of paws and tails, like tiny prayers keeping rhythm with the storm. Sometimes, travelers who stayed overnight swore they heard faint squeaks beneath the bell's toll, not disturbing, but comforting, like the murmur of old friends at peace. They could never find the source, of course. The monks only smiled and said, "Ah, that will be the mountain speaking. It remembers all who have kept its silence." And so, dear listener, when you next hear rain on your window or the faraway toll of a bell, imagine the monastery upon its misty peak, a small mice scurrying softly beneath the arches, and an old owl watching from the tower. Imagine how their quiet work, night after night, keeps the world gently in balance. Now breathe deeply. Feel the calm of the mountain settling into you. The bells fade into silence, the rain into whispers. And as sleep draws near, let your heart rest, small, steadfast, and full of peace, just like the whispering mice of Saint Aurelia Monastery.